Worked with children for over 30 years, but tonight the career of a Suffolk teacher lies in ruins.
Michael Becker from Stutton near Ipswich was fined today for physically ejecting a special needs pupil from a classroom. Becker told the court the boy had refused to stop telling a racist joke. His conviction and fine for the assault means he's almost certain to lose his job. Victoria Webb reports.
Described as a compassionate and dedicated teacher, Michael Becker will almost certainly now lose his job. After 30 years of exemplary service, he says his world has collapsed after an incident in November last year. It began when Mr Becker lost his temper with a 13-year-old boy who'd refused to stop telling what he regarded as a racist joke. The boy, who has special needs, refused to leave the class. So, in an effort to prevent other pupils being disrupted, Mr Becker physically removed him from the room by taking hold of his collar and waistband. Today, he admitted he regretted his actions.
I'm very sorry for the child for what happened, but that's all I can say at the moment. You know, I wish the whole thing hadn't happened.
Mr Becker left school on the day of the incident without telling anyone what had happened. At a 3-day trial earlier this month, magistrates ruled he used unreasonable force and convicted him of assault. Today he was told he came very close to a custodial sentence, but he was instead fined £1,500 and ordered to pay costs. In a victim impact statement, the boy's mother said that the incident, which should never have happened, had caused distress to the whole family. She said her son had suffered weeks and weeks of nightmares, consisting of Michael Becker chasing him and reliving the incident. She also said her son had been given medication to help him switch off. The Campaign for Real Education believes that while Mr Becker overreacted, he shouldn't have been found guilty.
The balance has shifted far too much towards misbehaving pupils. Teachers and parents, for that matter, have got to maintain and regain their authority over youngsters, otherwise behaviour is just going to get worse and worse.
Chairman of the Magistrates, Peter Page, told Becker, "You have, by a serious error of judgment, already brought upon yourself more punishment than this court can impose."
My life's work was teaching, and I wish the whole thing hadn't happened. And I wish it would have stayed within the school type of environment rather than come in here, which it should have done. But obviously it was out of all of our control and it went into court.
A Suffolk County Council spokesperson said as soon as the allegations were made against Mr Becker, he was suspended from his post until further notice. We will now work with the school to start internal disciplinary procedures. The case is likely to be referred to the General Teaching Council for England, and Mr Becker expects to lose his job. Those actions and what began as a normal school day last year could now mean the end of a lifelong career. Victoria Webb, Anglia News, Ipswich.
A champion dog breeder from Northamptonshire who left nearly 100 animals to fend for themselves while she went on holiday has been jailed.
Mary Collis, who is 51, ran the Wardena kennels in Brigstock near Kettering. The dogs, nearly all St Bernards, were found abandoned by RSPCA officers who raided the kennels last November.
Collis was sent to prison after admitting causing unnecessary suffering to animals. She was also disqualified from keeping animals for 10 years. Claire McGlasson reports.
It's the contrast that's so shocking. 99 St Bernard dogs abandoned to suffer in squalor. Their owner on holiday in Tenerife. The RSPCA discovered the dogs at kennels near Brigstock in Northamptonshire. They'd been left with no fresh food or water. Covered in urine and faeces, many were suffering from ulcers and infections. One had to be put to sleep at the scene. Another died later that night.
You're scum! Scum! People like you should be locked up for good! Scumbag!
Today, their owner, Mary Collis, arrived at Wellingborough Magistrates Court after pleading guilty to causing unnecessary suffering to 85 dogs and failing to meet the welfare needs of another 14. Sentencing her to 4.5 months in prison, magistrates told Collis, as a trained veterinary nurse, you were in a position to recognise what these dogs were suffering. Now, the court heard that from Tenerife she'd contacted friends by text message asking them to go to the kennels, not to look after the dogs already there, but to meet new clients who wanted to board their dogs there.
There was 10 puppies which had been in the facility at the back, left in on concrete floor with no heating, no bedding, no water, and they were all taken out, and we managed to rehome them.
Collis left Brigstock on November the 24th and flew out to Tenerife. The RSPCA was called 5 days later when a man who was boarding his dog at the kennels realised there was no one looking after them. Officers raided the site and discovered 99 dogs living in filthy, cramped conditions. Collis flew home 3 days later and was arrested. Collis had been quite a name in the kennel club, breeding a number of champions. But when she was declared bankrupt, she no longer had the money to feed the dogs in her care. Their condition deteriorated, yet she didn't contact the RSPCA for help. 1 year on, and these are the lucky ones, the survivors, with new homes and a new lease of life. But 16 dogs simply didn't have the strength to recover from their ordeal. It's taken 11 months to bring this case to court, but the RSPCA says it sends out a strong message. The owner who left these dogs locked up and abandoned now finds herself behind bars. Claire McGlasson, Anglia News, Wellingborough.
The parents of an 8-year-old girl who died after contracting suspected swine flu are urging people to protect themselves against the virus. Maisie Price from Bowthorpe died after being admitted to the Norfolk and Norwich University Hospital. Tests are still being carried out to determine whether she had any other underlying medical conditions. However, her parents are urging others to have the swine flu vaccination to minimise the risk of another tragedy occurring. Over 7,000 people contracted swine flu in the east of England last week. 37 of those are in hospital.
Postal services have been disrupted again today as hundreds more workers took part in a national 48-hour strike. Yesterday, staff at distribution units took part in the action. Today, workers at delivery offices and collection centres were on the picket lines.
Hopes are growing that the British Grand Prix will be staying at Silverstone. Rival circuit Donington Park has admitted a bond issue aimed at raising the £135 million they still need has failed. Donington now has until midday on Monday to find the money. If they don't, Silverstone is hoping it'll be allowed to keep the race, which also generates millions of pounds for the economy in Northamptonshire. Stay with us here on Anglia. Lots more to come, including